friends and welcome to my channel. My name is Jess and today we are doing the January wrap up. I thought I'd read 11 books but it turns out I read 10. I was looking at my spreadsheet and it said 11 but I forgot to count the top row as like the titles, if that makes sense. Do we have 10 books to talk about? I am excited. I am so proud of myself for getting through 10 books. However, it's been a difficult month to say the least, and I have not enjoyed all of them. Although it's really weird because I wrote down my stats and not a lot of them are very low rating. I've got 2 3-star books. I've got 6 4-star books. Yes, and 2 5-star books. One of my books I've done a book swap with a friend, so I don't have the physical copy here, but I'll put a picture up of what it looks like and we can still discuss my thoughts on the book. We're going to get straight on with it because I like to ramble on and we've got to get through these books. I haven't got much makeup on today, so I thought I'd put my glasses on, put a bit of lippy on and put some earrings in. Coloured my hair today, so fresh and ginger, a bit on the fluffy side, but we are working it. So the first book I finished in January was The Weight of the Stars by Kay Ancrum, and this book was my first 5-star book of the year. I absolutely loved this book. So we've got the main character Ryan, I believe. Yes, so Ryan is the main character and she is a bit on the rebellious side. She's brought together this group of friends that are a bit kind of misfits. They don't really belong or they're from an unfortunate background. There's all sorts of stories behind each person that she's brought together into this friendship group. It is so well written. It's so diverse, I think the right word is. You've got different ethnicities in this book. You've got different kind of couples and relationships. So I can't remember if Ryan's bisexual or gay. But I do know one of her friends has 2 dads and a mum and all 3 of them are in a relationship together. And I just think it's great bringing these types of things into books to make people more aware of how people can be brought up in different situations. And I absolutely loved this book. I called this science fiction, which is the only sci-fi book I've read this month, but it's a bit sci-fi. It's not much in the way of romance. I picked this up mainly because of the female-female relationship in this book. But you don't get a lot of that, and I wasn't disappointed just because the overall story was really good. Quite a lot of space element. I don't really want to say any more than that. I just highly recommend it. The next book I picked up in January was The Flip Side by James Bailey, I believe. Yes, James Bailey. And this one was a author that actually lives in Bristol, which is where I'm from, and I found that really exciting because a lot of the places they go around Bristol I have been or I know of, which I thought that was a really nice touch to this book. This is about a guy called Josh and he proposes on New Year's Eve on the London Eye. He's booked this kind of private, what do you call them, booths? Private bubble on the London Eye, and you get like champagne and it's all romantic, and he proposes and she says no. So Josh is devastated. He has to move out. He loses his job and his girlfriend all in one night. So he decides to put every decision that he makes onto flipping a coin. So he flips a coin to see what he's going to decide to do. I gave this book 4 stars. The characters were great. One of the characters reminds me of a friend of mine, which was really super cute. I read this really quickly, really enjoyed it. 4 stars. And I mean, This book does imply that there's quite a lot of romance involved. However, the girl that he kind of meets or goes after, the kind of love interest, isn't a large part of the plot, which was actually really nice. Highly recommend. I could relate to Josh so much. Next up, I read Days of Grace, and this is by Catherine Hall. I gave this 4 stars as well. I originally, oh no, did I give it 3? So Days of Grace I gave 4 stars. I originally was going to give it 3, and then since getting this spreadsheet, I find it super helpful to kind of put my thoughts on each particular part of the story together, and then it works out the overall rating based on your thoughts of certain elements of the book. So I gave this 4 star, Days of Grace. This is set around World War II. Yes, World War II. And it is about this young girl's life, an evacuee, and it starts from her being about 12 years old, and you get points throughout her life from her growing up and other chapters of her as an older lady where she is now. And this is beautifully written. I thought again this was going to be more female relationship based, because she does fall in love with a girl called Grace. However, it isn't, again, largely based on any kind of particular relationship. You do get a lot of her and Grace throughout this book, but there's not much in the way of romance. This is a historical fiction book. I actually picked up 3 historical fiction books this month. The Flip Side is the only romance book I picked up. So I think I read quite a range this month. So I gave this 4 stars. I didn't love it. I'm not a huge fan of reading about people that are super religious when they tend to put a lot of blame, not a blame, but things on God. God is punishing them for stuff and things like that. I don't mind religious aspects. I just don't enjoy it when there's a lot of I'm being punished, God doesn't like this, so this is happening. But it was a good book. Really, really well written. Next up, I picked up The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware, and this is a mystery kind of thriller book. This really surprised me. This surprised me way more than I thought it would. I thought this book was going to be a lot easier to figure out, but it wasn't. I read this again super quickly. I really enjoyed it. The audiobook of this is also really good. So if anyone's interested in audiobooks, this is also narrated really well. I did listen to a little bit of it towards the end, and I have kept the audiobook so mum can also give it a listen. This I rated 4 stars. This is the second Ruth Ware book that I've rated 4 stars. So right at the start of this book, I can't remember her name. I don't know why I can't remember. I mean, I have read quite a few. I can't remember the main character's name. We start the book with the main character we're following. She gets broken into and she's really thrown off by it. And this really helps set an atmosphere, set some tension to the book. Really liked that about it. We follow this lady through her writing career, and she goes onto a cruise to write about it, and she believes she has seen someone being killed. So she believes she's witnessed a murder. However, no one seems to be missing from the cruise ship. It was thrilling. I enjoyed it. I really, really liked it. That's all I think I'm going to say, because there's a lot of hidden treasures in this book. Next up, I read The Dream Daughter. This was my pick for the Buzzwordathon in January, and I found this super disappointing. I gave this 3 stars. I did like the story, and 30 pages in, you find out that this book is about time travel. And I don't know if that's a big spoiler, because it's not on the back. It doesn't say that it's time travel, but a lot of the book is about time travel. And it does It happens quite quickly. You don't have to wait too long into the story to find this out. However, I am not a huge fan of time travel books. However, that's one thing I liked about this book. The time travel element was done really well. There wasn't too much detail to confuse you, and it was quite simple yet powerful way of putting time travel into a book. That element was really good. The characters they were just flat. They weren't very well developed. It is a lot more story based, which I didn't mind. However, I did get fed up. There is a point where she meets her daughter, or her daughter is in this story as, I think, like 11, 12-year-old. And as a young girl, we get to meet her a little bit more and learn a lot more about her at that age. It just dragged and became super boring for that part. That part was way too long in the story. It was just, I just got a bit fed up. So I gave this 3 stars because it is a good book. My tabs do represent all the kind of like serious moments when you think the mother might lose her child, because that's what this is mainly about, a mother trying to keep her daughter alive. So again, historical fiction, but it's set across multiple years, so a little bit of historical fiction. It is mainly a mother in distress trying to save her child. She has to time travel to do it. That is this book in a nutshell. I can see why people do really like this book. I think it has been higher rated than what I've given it, so I can understand that. It's just not for me. Next up we have Darkly Dreaming Dexter. This is the books that the Dexter TV show is based around, and I want to get through the whole series this year. Again, I picked this one up for the Buzzwordathon. I have started doing some tabs, however, it isn't tabbed as much as I would have originally tabbed it. Anywho, so Dexter is a serial killer. However, he only kills people that he believes deserves it. So people that have broken the law, have done wrong, aren't very nice, could be abusive. He goes after those he thinks should die. So a bit like a vigilante. It is gruesome, it is gripping, it is fantastic. This was my other 5-star read of January. It is darker than the show. It is fantastic. There are some amazing moments in this book, and I'm looking forward to finding out what happens in the rest of the series and looking at the differences from the show. I am talking at a million miles an hour now, so I do apologise. Next up we have In the Dream House, and this is by Carmen Maria Machado, and this is a memoir. I mostly listened to this on audio, and it is narrated by the author. It is a memoir, however it is written in such a unique way. So you've got different, if I just open it to kind of show you this bit, for example. So it says Dream House. This is Dream House as Legacy. So it's always Dream House as, or Dream House in, or I think it's always Dream House as. Yeah. So it's always Dream House as thanks Obama. So each chapter is Dream House as something, and it's different points throughout her life. It is about a same-sex abusive relationship, so if that does trigger you, then I wouldn't pick this up. But I'm not a huge fan of memoirs, autobiographies. I did start listening to Yes Please by Amy, I can't remember her surname. I'll put it on the screen. I did start that last year, and I started out really enjoying it, and then I just got bored. I just don't find them that interesting, or they go on for too long. But this was amazing. I did give it 4 stars. It is heavy. I did drop a star just because I don't think I'm the right audience for this book, and I just couldn't bring myself to absolutely love it. But it is fantastically written. So if you do enjoy memoirs, or if this wouldn't trigger you too much, then I would recommend reading it because it is amazing. She does touch upon being a fat girl as well, which we can all relate to. Next up is the book that I have done a book swap with my friend, and it is called The Betrayals by Bridget Collins. So I'll put a picture up of it, but the main kind of synopsis of this book is about a academy called Montvert, and it is set in 1937. So again, historical fiction. Amazing. I really enjoyed this book. It is very vague though. So it is about this school, it's about politics, and this school is kind of being taken over by politicians, and it's an all boys school. You come to learn how to play a game called the Grand Jeu, and you create this game, and it is a competition to be the best at creating the game or playing the game of the Grand Jeu. So we have one of the teachers, which is a woman, which is shocking to everyone because only men study the Grand Jeu, so how can a woman be teaching it? So we follow her. We follow someone called the Rat, and you don't know who it is, and it's supposed to be something that makes you think about who it could be. I did guess that. That is the thing with this book. It is predictable, in my opinion. I'm not usually very good with thrillers or secrets and trying to figure out what it is. This book, I did guess all of the secrets but one. So I did figure most of it out. So we follow the Rat, we follow the female teacher, and we also follow Leo. Leo did study the Grand Jeu. He became the Minister for Culture, so he became a politician, and he disagreed with some of the bills they were putting in place, so they threatened him, got him to resign, and sent him back to Montvert, where he was there supposed to be a spy and kind of study the Grand Jeu. So he is returning 10 years later after studying this, and it's bringing up memories. You also get snippets from Leo's diary from back when he studied the Grand Jeu. I really enjoyed this book. So many secrets, but also the vagueness of it just made it more intriguing, in my opinion. And it was also so believable. You actually could see this being something that did happen. The academy is, to me, sounds more like a prison than a school. They all wear black, they live in cells, there's a lot of rules in place. But really enjoyed that book. Next up, I read Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid, and this is a contemporary fiction. This is the only contemporary fiction that I read throughout January, and I gave this 4 stars. So I was really surprised by this book because I personally thought it was going to be mostly based around her life as a black girl and being a lot about race, which is one of the reasons I actually picked it up, because I need that kind of refreshing information. I need that kind of wake up call, because I didn't realize before last year how many books I just read about mostly white people. Sorry, I had a hiccup. So I have been picking up more diverse and range of kind of books, and this one was really good. I can see the hype, I can see why it's well loved, and it's also really interesting in the sense that, again, it's a book that feels real. You feel like you know these characters, like they live just down the street. You feel like you know them, you've seen them. But the plot it kind of stems from a moment where she leaves a party. I forgot her name. Emira leaves a party to go and look after a little girl, Briar, who she usually babysits. Briar is a little white girl with blonde hair. Emira is a young lady that's black. She's 25, and she takes her to a supermarket as Briar's parents have asked Emira to take her. However, in this supermarket, she gets stopped by security because someone is worried that Emira has kidnapped this child. So that's where it kind of stems. What happens from there is the kind of people she meets, who to believe. Everyone is more connected than you realise when reading this. And again, more secrets come out. It was a really, really good read. The end surprised me how it was going to end. I read a lot of reviews that said they were disappointed or predicted the end. The end surprised me, and I think it was a perfect ending. It fit really well. So it's not completely 100% about race, but it does teach you a lot, and it does have that racial aspect in the book. So lastly, final book is Pet Sematary by Stephen King. I listened to this on audio. The audiobook, this is Sam's copy. I did read the last couple of chapters, but most of it I just listened to, which was narrated by Michael C. Hall, who plays Dexter in the TV show. I didn't find many characters very likable. Hand on heart, I could not stand Rachel. So Rachel is the wife to your main character, who is Lewis, and Lewis, I can kind of relate to him. I can kind of understand his way of thinking. I quite liked him as a main character. I understood his motives and what he was doing and why. So I can understand that. Judd is his neighbour. I didn't like Judd, and I feel like a lot of what happens in this book is kind of, you can put a bit that blame on Judd. Lewis moves with his wife Rachel and 2 daughters to a new town, and the cat dies. Their cat's called Church, and the cat dies. Judd takes Lewis to the pet cemetery to bury the cat. Now he explains what the pet cemetery is, how it came to, well, not kind of how it came to being, but he's tells him all these stories about it, why it's good or bad, and all these other things. And later on, a child dies, and you can guess what's going to happen. However, it takes a long time to get to that part. If you have seen the movie, it is similar, but there are quite a few differences. Rachel, I couldn't stand up until the last kind of part, the last kind of like scenes of the book, and that's when I was really rooting for her to come through. So that was a little bit of a turn. I gave this 3 stars. Again, not my kind of thing. Stephen King's writing isn't for me. I think his writing is fantastic. It is really well written. It's just, I'm not the right audience for this. I didn't find it too scary. I was really interested. The logic behind it I thought was really fun. I don't know, it is a good book. If you are a Stephen King fan, I think you would love this. However, it doesn't make me want to pick up his other books. His books seem to get bigger and bigger. So I gave this 3 stars, but I did enjoy it. So that is 10 books of everything I read in January. So 1 horror, let's go through. So 1 horror, 3 historical fiction, a memoir, a contemporary, a mystery, a romance, and a sci-fi. So that is everything. So we've got quite a big range there of books I read throughout the month of January. I aimed to read 9 books in January. One of them was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, and that is one of my sister's books, but She doesn't like her books to be kind of bent or ruined or folded, so I did buy a second-hand copy, which I now have, but it didn't arrive in time for me to add it to my January reads. I also wanted to read The Martian, but I have changed that now because of the Buzzwordathon. So I did beat the target I gave myself, which I'm really proud of. I have got, I believe, another 9 for February, but I can't remember. You'll have to stay tuned for my February TBR. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I didn't ramble too much. The dog is barking. I do apologise about the barking dog. Seems to be getting louder as well, which isn't very helpful. Let me know if any of these books interest you, or if you're looking to pick any of them up, or if you've read them, which ones were your favourite, which ones did you rate higher. The lighting in this video has been absolutely terrible. It is dark and grey outside. I got my little candle on. Not that that makes a lot of difference, but there we go. That was my January wrap up. I'm really pleased I got through 10 books in January. Really proud of myself. Let's keep it going and bring on February. February is a tad shorter, so if we drop a book off, let's hope for 9. If you enjoyed this video, then please watch some more. Please subscribe or talk to me. I don't know. It feels weird to ask people to subscribe. I'm just gonna say goodbye now. Ending a video for me is super awkward. I never know what to say, so thanks. Bye.